seems to be so here tonight.
I'd like to call a regular council meeting of December the 16th, 2025 to order. No public hearings scheduled for tonight. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda from administration?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Administration sent a couple potential additions late last night for council to consider. The first would be 10.1 under bylaw PD 022025, the land use bylaw amendments as a follow-up from our public hearing. And the second one would be 11.5 physician grant agreement. And then I guess the third one, Mr. Mayor, you and I chatted about a closed session item today as an update for council on development south of Lake and Sturgeon County for the closed session. So it'll just be a development update.
And that will be under intergovernmental liaison relations. Okay, fine. Anything from council? Look for a motion from council to accept the three amendments to the agenda.
I'll make that motion to accept the three amendments to the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Cosby. Discussion from council? Call that question. All in favor? No opposition. That's carried. Amendment or motion to accept the amendment. Councillor Butcher.
Motion, Your Worship.
Thank you. Discussion? Call that question. All in favor? And again, that's carried. No public input or delegations or presentations tonight, so we're moving on to agenda item number 8.1, the budget deliberations, November 18th to December the 9th. And I'm looking for a motion to accept that. Councillor Brown, thank you. And discussions, errors, omissions? Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. December the 2nd, regular council meeting minutes. Motion to accept those.
I'll make that motion.
Councillor Smith, thank you. Errors or omission, discussion? Call that question. All in favor? And again, that's carried. And then November 24th, the public hearing minutes, including Schedule A, the overview and purpose. Look for a motion to accept those minutes. Councillor Olson.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Any errors or omissions or discussion? Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? And those are carried as well. Any business arising out of the minutes or unfinished business from administration?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, none from administration with the additions of the agendas.
Okay. Anything from council? Not seeing any. We'll move on to agenda item 10.1, the land use bylaw. I believe, Ms. Lane, we're in your hands for this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So the purpose of this request for decision is to give second and third reading to bylaw PD 022025, being a bylaw amending and consolidating bylaw PD 012023, the Town of Redwater land use bylaw. The proposed motion is that Council accepts the amendments to bylaw PD 022025 as presented, and move that Council give second reading to bylaw PD 022025, and move that Council give third and final reading to bylaw PD 022025. So just a little bit of a background, bylaw PD 012023 being the very first Town of Redwater land use bylaw was given third reading on December 19th, 2023, and came into full force and effect on January 1st of 2024. This land use bylaw was subsequently amended on October 14th of 2024 and again on July 2nd of 2025 with bylaw PD 012024 and bylaw PD 012025 respectfully. Bylaw PD 022025 was given first reading on November 4th, and the public hearing that was scheduled for November 24th of 2025 was recessed due to technical difficulties and reconvened on December 2nd of 2025. During the public hearing, there were no delegates, no registered speakers either, virtually or in person. Council received the information provided by administration and concluded the public hearing. So just a really quick synopsis on the proposed amendments. One is to create a direct control district, DC1, for certain parcels of land within the Willows subdivision. The second is to amend the maximum height of accessory buildings in the residential low density, residential medium density, residential high density, and residential estates district. Amending and adding a provision within Part 3 of the General Regulations section for fencing in residential districts and to provide clarity on corner lots, double fronting lots, and sightline protection areas. And fourth, to amend Part 6, development not requiring a development permit, and to provide clarity on the regulations as set out in Part 3. The only other additional proposed amendments are just adding to the definitions section and providing clarity on existing definitions. You'll see within your package that there is a complete list of the detailed proposed amendments to Land Use Bylaw PD 012023. Just on a note there that all amendments to the Land Use Bylaw PD 012023 will be integrated into the final consolidated document of Land Use Bylaw PD 022025, including the Attachment A and Attachment B. They're just going to look more like the Land Use Bylaw than what you see in the bylaw that's in front of you. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just make a few comments.
Please.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, as Ms. Lane indicated, so this is the first time we've done this with our land use bylaw where we're consolidating it. So the issue here is in the past, we still had land use bylaws, hang on, which one was it now? PD 01-2023, that was our bylaw. Then we had a couple of amendments that made, so the bylaw was still PD 01-2023 with the amendments. Now what we're doing with this bylaw is we're gonna be giving it a new number with all of the amendments consolidated into the bylaw. So and the reason for that is it's gonna be much easier for the public to read because they won't have to see these amendments in the back of the bylaw. They will all be incorporated into the new bylaw, given a new number, PD 02-2025. So the purpose of this is really just to make it easier for the public to not miss things that come in the bylaw. When you do one amendment or two amendments, it's not bad, but when you start getting into 3, 4, it starts to become, it can become difficult to read. So all we're doing is consolidating it into one bylaw and basically, for lack of a better term, starting over. And that's the purpose of this bylaw.
Thank you. So we're looking at 3 motions. Councillor Spicer.
I move that the council accepts the amendments to bylaw PD-02-2025 as presented.
Discussion? Not seeing any. I did have a question, not anything exciting, but is there a reason to move to an attachment versus a schedule? Because we do have schedules in our other bylaws, so that was my question.
So we debated, this is one of the reasons why it was late, because we debated this internally for
3 days.
3 days. And every time we wrote it with attachment A and with Schedule A and Schedule B, it didn't line up in the bylaws as Schedule A and Schedule B. So basically what we did was we said in the final bylaw, they're gonna be schedules, but for the purpose of this, they're attachments, because the one attachment isn't an actual schedule in the back. Basically, all we did in the bylaw was we wanted to pull out that direct control district to show council what was changing. But it's actually incorporated in Schedule A of the bylaw, just not separated out. So that was, and we went, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we went around this for a long time, trying to figure out how to make sure that we didn't confuse everybody, because otherwise there would have been Schedule A, Schedule B, and in the final bylaw, there was only a Schedule A, and it would have just,
Okay. And that's fair. It was just, as I say, most of our bylaws talk about a schedule, so yes, Ms. Lee.
Just to further clarify that, so the direct control district has been incorporated into the land use bylaw as a district that would be the same as residential low density, residential medium. The changes to the map are incorporated into Schedule A of the land use bylaw, the actual maps.
Thank you.
again, we just felt it was important to make sure that we kind of zoomed out that one portion of the willows that's going in direct control, so that everybody's aware what's actually being rezoned in direct control. And there was just no real good way to do it, so that's why we separated attachment versus schedules.
Anything else through to administration? Motion is to accept the amendments to bylaw PD 02-2020. Not seeing any further discussion, I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Councillor Olson?
Move the council give second reading to the bylaw PD-02-2025, a bylaw to amend and consolidate the Town of Redwater's land use bylaw PD-01-2023 as amended.
Discussion by council. Seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? Thank you. And Councillor Cosby, your hand was up.
Move that council give third and final reading to bylaw PD-02-2025.
Thank you. And let's kick it at conversation about it. Anything from council? My only comment is 150 pages is a consolidation. You can imagine what it would be without it. So thank you, administration. We have always said right from the get-go that this has to be a living document. And I'm sure we'll be right back where we are now, down the road. We can't foresee everything. Any further from council? Not seeing any. I'll call that question. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. 10.2, municipal borrowing bylaw. And I believe we are in your hands, Ms. Tingley.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So this is a bylaw that we bring to council every single year around this time. It's more of a housekeeping item. The purpose of it is to ensure that we have sufficient funds to cover all of our expenditures until taxes are levied and received, May through till June. So just some context here. In the past, this has been a loan that we've never had to utilize, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have access to these funds. So that is the purpose of this RFD, to allow us to have the operating loan for the coming year.
Councillor Olson.
Make the motion that the bylaw FIN-05-2025 being a bylaw for the purpose of authorizing council to borrow money from the Alberta Treasury Branch, if needed, to meet current operating expenditures, be first reading.
Thank you. Discussion by council. I have a question. We do this every year. Under the Municipal Government Act, as long as we don't borrow funds for any more than 3 years, we don't have to advertise this and what have you. Is there any reason why this doesn't take in a longer window so that it doesn't come back every year?
I can ask ATB. My assumption is that it's something on their end that they require, because it's something that if I haven't forwarded it to them by January, they're asking for it in February. So I can definitely reach out to see if there's any way we can capture some sort of longer term renewal term so it's not a recurring thing in December.
Because I was I was looking at this and I know Councillor Smith and Olson and Councillor Butcher have probably done this every year that they've sat at this table. And if all we have to do is send them a copy of the bylaw, maybe that's enough, I don't know. But it just seems, and I understand why we have it, but I just think it'd be a lot easier on administration if we had a longer date on it, but that's.
The only danger is that it falls off the calendar and somebody misses it. That's the only danger.
Yeah. But if we never use it, then we haven't borrowed anything.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of council, and just to that, if we do ever use it, it will certainly show up on the financial statements unless it's paid back within that term. So if there's anything outstanding on that account at the end of the year, that will certainly show up in our financial statements, because it will affect what our borrowing capacity is at the end of any given year.
Okay. Motion is, go ahead.
When, we've mentioned this a couple times, that if something were to kind of outside the normal, that we could tap into this. It's a meet current operating expenditures. We're not tying our hands at all. I didn't think so, but.
Well, again, if something comes up, so this wording, again, if we go back to the letter of the law through the MGA, there's no expenditures that we can make unless they're approved by council. So, again, as administration, we skate a pretty fine line on some of these things, because we take the liberty of saying, you know, if they're minor amounts, and minor being probably $5,000 or less, if we think we can deal with those issues within our current budget because we're over in one place, we do that, and we just let council know what we're doing after the fact. But any major ones, and I mentioned this in the budget deliberations, like when we have a $30,000 dig, as an example, without it being identified in the budget somewhere, we legally don't have any authority to go out and do the spend. Obviously, if we have a water line break, we have to do that, which is why we budget the way we do now in our budget. But if there was anything outside of that, to Councillor Spicer's, we would have to come back and get council authority to do the spend with a spending or with a funding source. This could then be that funding source, because then it becomes into our operating budget. If that makes sense.
Council.
There was emergency response too?
Yes, it would, yep. Yep. And again, we would, you know,
Yeah.
in an emergency, we would come back to council and say, look, you know, we think it's gonna be, you know, 100,000, 200,000, whatever, get the spend. And then if we didn't have the cash flow in our, you know, if something was up, then we could use this to fund that then.
I believe our bylaw is that the first 100 grand isn't even talked about. It's guaranteed for whoever. Sorry, go ahead.
And it wouldn't be a funding source, it'd be a financing source in the same way that the debt is a financing source, but we'd have to fund it through taxation or reserves or other means. It's just more for liquidity. We just want to make sure we have the cash to meet our current obligations. Having said that, we're in a really strong cash position. It would be an absolute last resort. We'd be drawing from our notice of accounts, our mush accounts. If you recall, like the last cow, I know it's been a little bit with budget deliberations, but we do have quite a bit we can draw from before we dip into here.
Anything else on this? So the motion is to first reading for the borrowing bylaw. I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Councillor Smith?
I'd like to make a motion that bylaw FIN 052025 be given second reading.
And just for our new councillor's sake, we have identified a new numbering system with respect to our bylaws. So you'll notice the one we had before was PD, which was planning and development, FIN is finance, and so on. So if you have any questions regarding that, that's what that boils down to. Any discussion? Call that question. All in favor? As required. required by the MGA. We're looking for unanimous consent to continue. Councillor Cosby?
I move that council unanimously agree to consider giving bylaw Fin-05-2025 third reading at this meeting.
Okay. Discussion. Call the question. All in favor? No opposition? Was that a vote? And third and final reading. Councillor Spicer.
I move that bylaw Fin 05-2025 be given third and final reading.
Thank you. And discussion. Anything from council? Call that question. All in favor? That's carried. 10.3, Fin 06-2025. Oh, hang on. Yes.
Fees and charges.
My screen just disappeared on me. There we go. All right. And again, I believe we're in your hands, Ms. Tingley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this RFD for FIN 06-2025 is for the fees and charges bylaw update for 2026. So during our budget deliberations and starting last year, we incorporated our fees and charges update with the budget deliberation so that we can incorporate the changes within our operating budget. Changes were highlighted within a separate presentation. I've also included them within the RFD as a summary for your reference. No changes to Schedule A, B, C, E, and H. Some small changes to Schedule D with planning development. Same with Schedule F for the swimming pool, 2% increase to the pool rental, extra lifeguard costs, school rental rate, hourly rate, couple other items. Swimming lesson costs increased 2% as lesson rates were lower than comparable pools, but no other proposed changes within the pool. Schedule G, Pembina Place, I won't list them all there, but I've outlined all of the changes per our presentation. Big one here, one of the changes last year is we included the changes with the utilities within the fees and charges bylaw. So we also have Schedule I utilities, which wasn't part of the fees and charges presentation, but was part of the overall operating budget presentation. So to summarize, we're increasing the water variable rate to $2 per cubic meter, so that's up from $1.65. And then the gas variable rate as well, increasing it 20 cents per gigajoule to $2.35. And just to note that I've removed the recycling charges within the schedule, as recycling charges are no longer passed on to residents due to the extended producer responsibility changes that came into effect on April 1st, 2025. So it's more of a housekeeping item there. And that concludes my RFD.
Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Cosby.
Move that bylaw Fin-06-2025, being a bylaw to establish rates, fees, and charges for services provided by the municipality, be given first reading.
Thank you. Discussion. I do. I'd like to take you to Schedule G, if we could, please, in the presentation. And if we go all the way down to Pembina Place. The first question I had was under the ice rental. Schedule G, ice rental. Is there a reason why we're splitting this into two increments? We've got one increment that's taking place January the 1st, and it's a small increment. And then we have the exact same thing happening on April the 1st. So we've got January to March, we've got one set of rates. And then April through, we've got a second set of rates that are higher than the rates we just did 3 months earlier.
I can answer that.
Okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, the reason we do that is because all of our nonprofit groups and all of our groups who rent our ice, have been given a rate at the beginning of the year. And so we don't make that change until the year's finished, so starting April 1st. So basically comes into effect starting April, so the end of the hockey season, basically.
But we're starting a rate increase on January the 1st. There's a rate increase from January 1st, 2026.
I'm not following where you're at then.
So I see where it is. So I guess the error there is that the rate increase from January 1st to March 31st, the 2026 proposed should be in line with the 2025 from April 1st to December 31st for continuity. Because then it would flow through. So we've already set, so right now we would be in the 2025 rate, so that would flow through the 2026 proposed for the duration of the season.
So today, if I have a junior B adult prime time rental, it's gonna cost me $180 an hour. On January the 1st, that's gonna cost me $189 an hour. And then if I go through to April the 1st, it's gonna cost me $193.
So right now, if you look under the April 1st to December 31st, under the senior, junior B, the prime, so April 1st to December 31st, 2025 is $189. So that's where we're at now. So now you go to the top of the page for 2026 proposed, it's at $189. So there's a delay in the increase with the January 1st to March 31st. It's however not consistently applied because this wasn't something that was made apparent to me.
I'm missing you. So on January 1st to March 31st of 2026, it's $189, correct?
Correct. Up from $180 the day before.
That's the part I don't have an answer for you.
So that's
I don't see it either, so.
because if we're talking about a season, because the season's kind of fragmented. So the season is from, let's just talk from September from when the ice is in. So the season would be from September 2024 until, September 2024 until March of 2025. So the rates here would be 2025, you're looking at April 1st to December 31st, 2025, $189. So now that's going to carry through to the end of this season, but now we're going to get a rate of $189 from January 1st to March 31st of 2026. So we're at the same rate for the entire season. Now starting on April 1st, we're going up to $193. However, I'm now identifying that that isn't consistently applied all the way through, but that's the intent of this schedule. The fees and charges update is a bit of an interesting group project where it's a collaboration of different departments, and it wasn't until you asked this question that I realized that there's a mistake in the schedule. So how it should look is it should go from the 2026 proposed from January 1st to March 31st, so the 189 is correct. But then it should go to 130. Wait, now I'm confusing myself.
So in essence, it should go from September again.
Councillor Brown, you had an inquiry?
Yeah, so the teams book for the entire season, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense to me. So it's not put on here correctly, I don't think, but I think, so a junior team would be paying for the whole season from September till March, right?
Yep.
So they're not gonna be, so any teams that book like that aren't gonna be affected by the rate increase until the following season begins.
Oh, and it is, if we follow it through, it's 189, 131, 131, 120. So it is presenting here correctly because the 2025 rates from April 1st to December 31st that we're in right now have to be the same for the January 1st to the March 31st as per Councillor Brown's point there, because the rates have to flow through till the end of the season for the hockey teams anyways. So it looks like they're correct for the tournaments. It's the school rate. Yeah, school rate's the same too.
The way it's written for me, the way I interpret it is there's two raises happening for ice rentals. One is on January the 1st and the other one is on April the 1st.
It's just the fragmented season. It's really tricky to see here. I wish we could present it so opposite from April 1st to December 31st and then maybe have in brackets the dates, because it carries forward like the 25 rates from April 1st to December 31st carry forward to 2026 because we're rolling it forward just for the tail end of that season for January to March 31st. And then the actual increase starts at the beginning of the brand new season, which is April 1st, 2026.
According to the bill.
You're seeing $180 and it went from 180 to 189 on January 1st. That's what you're seeing.
That's what
That's
this,
why you're
that's what this schedule, or this table says to me.
Absolutely, but then look down at the ice rentals from April 1st to December 31st, under 2025, it's already at $189. So they're already paying that. So it's in line for April 1st to December 31st, which we're in right now.
Please listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah,
December 31st,
yeah,
2025.
yeah,
I'm a junior B hockey team,
yeah.
and I'm renting the ice for an hour. It cost me $180.
189.
No, it's gonna cost me $180 on December 31st,
Should be going up.
because that's 2025, it's not 2026.
But the first column is 2025.
And it's $180.
It's
He's,
$189.
he's seeing something different than you're seeing. Come around and see what he's seeing, please.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Actually, I'm just gonna bring my laptop.
I don't have a 2025 listing here anywhere.
Mr. Mayor, can we just take maybe 5 minutes?
Okay. Could I get a recess for
Recess for 5.
I'll call that question, all in favor? like to call a meeting back to order after recess, and I really want to thank administrations for clarifying this. This is based on the circuitous route that organizations take through a seasonal rental versus an annual rental. So that's understood now. Thank you for that. Any other questions from council? Because I have one more.
You're gonna have to recess after this, would you?
One of the things that we have talked about at this table, Mr. Davison has brought it forward in his commentary several times, and that is the amount of damage that happens during rentals to the cultural center or elsewhere, particularly to the washrooms and the partitions and that sort of thing. Our damage deposits aren't significant. And I would just like to suggest moving forward, not now, but moving forward, that administration look at presenting council with much stiffer damage deposits. The reason being is the damage deposit is strictly that. Treat our facility properly, your damage deposit comes back. We sign checks for that all the time. But if you're looking at full rental, which is $2,000 for a weekend, and you're paying $350 for a damage deposit, that's not significant. It really isn't. So if down the road we have something to do with this, I would suggest we should be looking at a much more prominent impact on wallets, if so.
Replacing one of those things in the barriers between it would cost you $350.
Oh, easily. Not even difficult to believe that, so.
Well, it's easy enough to do a comparable and see if we're out of line.
Well, and like I say, the interesting thing with that is it comes back to them if they're nice people. So, all right, so we've got first motion with respect to the fees and charges bylaw FIN-06-2025. Any further discussion by council? Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Move that bylaw FIN 06-2025 be given second reading.
Thank you. Not seeing any, I'll call that question. Oh, go ahead, Councillor.
Just scrolling through here again. Something popped up. Kitchen rental. Generally hour rate of $5 an hour. Not-for-profit hourly rate, 28 per hour. It's on a clean copy.
Schedule G again?
Schedule G, Pembina Place.
So that was under the cultural center?
Yeah.
$45 an hour and 28.
Level
5. Showing up here is 5.
Level 3.
No, just kitchen only.
Yeah, that's in level 3.
Oh, kitchen only, $5 per hour?
Sorry?
Oh, yeah, I see it,
Typo?
possibly.
I'm assuming so. As a not-for-profit going to use the kitchen, I'd say general use,
Should be cheaper.
$23 an hour cheaper.
Oh, you betch. Let's see what it should be.
Probably 50.
50 or 45, yeah.
I'm not seeing what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Page 16.
16 on the clean copy.
Yeah, on
Oh,
the clean.
kitchen only, 45.
It is 45?
It was a typo.
Yeah.
Yep.
My mistake.
So 45 should be the number.
Good catch.
So we'll make that amendment to 45.
Yep. Friendly amendment to whoever made that. Melvin?
Smith? Okay, so second reading, we should pass the amendment
Yep.
and then second reading?
Unless it's sure, amend it to $45, yes.
Okay. So, Would you like to make a motion to amend that line to $45 an hour?
Kitchen only amendment to $45 an hour to typo
For general hourly rate.
general hourly rate of the kitchen at Pembina Place.
Discussion? Seeing I call that question, all in favor? And then your motion now stands, Councillor Smith, for second reading. Call that question, all in favor? That's carried. And I'm looking for a reading for, or a motion for third and reading at unanimous agreement for third. Go ahead, Councillor Cosby.
Move that council unanimously agree to consider giving bylaw Fin-06-2025 third and final reading at this meeting.
And discussion? Seeing any, call that question. All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Councillor Spicer.
I move that bylaw Fin 06-2025 be given third and final reading.
Thank you. And I'll call that question. All in favor? Again, it's carried. 11.1, new business. We're on to the library grant. And that will be Ms. Tingley as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So the RFD is to approve the community grant to the library board for the 2026 operating budget. So the proposed motion is to approve the annual grant of $85,836 for 2026 to the library board. Per their meeting on, for the presentation of the budget on November 18th, 2025, they requested a 3% increase to their municipal grant, which per council's direction, administration has included in the 2026 operating budget to bring it to the $85,836, up from $83,321 in 2025. A reminder, in 2025 was the year that we increased the grant 8.75%, per their request to bring everyone up to COLA within their staff, along with other operating expenses. The increase represents 0.07% increase in taxation. And that concludes our RFD for the library grant.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
I move that the town of Redwater provide the Redwater Library Board with an annual grant of $85,836 for 2026.
Discussion by council. Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Redwater Museum grant. Again, Ms. Tingley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Show tonight.
Apparently, just chipping away at the RFDs. So this RFD is for the grant to the Redwater and District Museum for 2026. That has been included in the operating budget. The grant to the museum is a bit more specific in how we determine what is included. So the proposed grant is $16,102 for 2026. So this includes just under $8,500 in utilities, building and liability insurance at $4,100, building maintenance at $1,500, and a grant for tourism of $2,000. This is an increase of $1,261 over the 2025 grant, which is primarily due to an increase in utilities and a small increase in insurance compared to the 2025 amounts. And this concludes my RFD for the Redwater District Museum grant for 2026.
Councillor Olson.
Make the motion that the town of Redwater provide the Redwater and District Museum with a grant of $16,102 for 2026.
And discussion? Call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. 11.3, the 2026 operating budget and 3-year operating plan.
a quick presentation here summarizing all of the discussions that we've had. The presentations that I'm showing this evening are the presentations that will be included on the website for our community to get additional information on the budget for the upcoming year. I won't go through all the slides in detail because several of them were included during our deliberations. I just thought that they were really important to include to the public as well, as they give context to our operating budget for this year. So that includes like the message to the CAO and our budget priorities. I'm just gonna get to the changes here. So no changes to funding assumptions in the 2026 budget we're passing here today. The only change to the asset management strategies was the adjustment. We are now transferring the $90,000 from streets, from taxation to allocate to sidewalks. That was a reduction from the $100,000 in the initial budget. So this time the proposed budget is 4.91% increase over the 2025 budget. And how that appears graphically, we're seeing over the past 3 years trending more consistent, which is really great to see. So the change in the, based on the average assessment, the change is now $118 per month or $216 per year. So that gives us $195 per month compared to $177 per month the previous year. And a reminder of all of the services included in these costs. An overview of the utility rate analysis. Changes to the water service, the variable rate, $2 per cubic meter, increased from $1.65 in 2025. No changes to fixed and UCI or the utility infrastructure reinvestment rider. No changes to sewer for 2026. No changes to garbage outside of the removal of the the recycling costs with the extended producer responsibility as of April 1st of 2025. With the change in the gas service charge, the variable rate going up 20 cents per gigajoule to $2.35. And these were incorporated in the fees and charges bylaw that was just passed.
Did Rose Ridge contact you?
They did not.
A small increase.
That's an increase. With the sort of the garbage charges, so that's a charge that we. I'm gonna have to look at that. Well, it's always really fun when there's changes right around this time too. Just keeps us on our toes. Yep.
In the fees and charges bylaw is listed as the rate that Rose Ridge charges.
Thank you. Again, no changes to this information here. This is as presented. For the utility rates. And again, for its franchise fee, we will be increasing to 12% from 10%. The balance here, the $53,408, that represents a total year. We've prorated it as we won't see that increase until April 1st. But it will be an item we will include in full for 2027 budget. And again, that was to cover the cost, the increased policing cost anticipated for the coming year. Some regional comparators for the Fortis franchise fee, we're sitting on the lower end with the exception of Toefield as far as usage for this Fortis franchise fee. Again, estimated impact on utility rate increases, 1% taxation for each of the 3 proposed that we're reducing by collecting this through utilities, allowing it to become more of a user pay system as well. So these are the revisions that we discussed that have been included in this proposed budget. I've removed the color coding. So we have the initial budgeted taxation increase with the initial presentations at 7.41%. Then we have the 3 changes that administration identified. So the FCSS increase in the revenue to actual, the contract that's been signed up to December 31st, 2028, as well as removing the 1.7% COLA adjustment for council, and then adjusting the council tech and sell allowance to actuals per the opt-in and out documents that I received from you. And then the cuts that were made at the previous meeting. Just a note here that the ESRI has been moved to 2027, so that will be included in the 3-year operating plan. That's one of the only changes. That and a couple training expenses that were moved as a result of this with the $10,000 training reduction. Oh, there it is. And that brings us to the adjusted taxation increase final at 4.91%. And the next few slides are just a summary of incorporating all of the changes. And this is for the residents as well. Again, they will have access to this presentation to review along with each division and then the notes on the incorporated changes year over year, which were discussed at length, so I'm just going to go through them. But if council has any additional questions, absolutely let me know. And then a summary of all units: revenue, expenses, the transfer to reserves, amortization, and then a summary of the 2026 compared to the 2025 at that 4.91% increase.
Anything through to administration? So I'm looking for a motion with respect to the operating budget for 2026. Councillor Spicer.
I move that the 2026 operating budget be approved as presented. Total revenue equals $9,278,273. Total expenses equal $9,278,273, including operating transfers to reserves of $758,340. Municipal taxation would equal $3,749,631, and amortization expense equals $1,380,976.
And discussion by council.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just make a couple.
Go ahead, Mr. Van Buel.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I really want to take a minute to thank Allegra and all the work that she's done on the budget through the last 3-4 months. Her, Garnet, our supervisors, I think they did an outstanding job. And not to belabor this point, but in the middle of an election, which she was the returning officer on, she certainly had her hands full over 3 or 4 months. And again, really want to thank her. And again, and the rest of our team on the work they've done on the budget. And the second, council, I really want to thank council for their input on the budget. It certainly makes a difference. And also for the support that council's shown administration in the preparation of the budget and getting us the tools we think we need to carry out council's vision through the strategic plan. It truly is a team effort on both sides. And certainly on behalf of administration, I'd like to thank council for their work on the budget as well.
Thank you. Discussion by council. Talked for 5 days, so obviously that's an awful lot of conversation. Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? No opposition, that's carried. And you wanted to quickly tell us about the operating plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'll skip through the slides. I just want to highlight the changes, as we did have a couple reductions that did change our 3-year operating plan. So for transparency, I just want to highlight those for council. And again, this is a document that will be available to the public so they can review our 3-year financial plan. We will see some really exciting changes with this as we dive into our council retreat and we get to really see what the next 3 years are going to look like, or next 4 years over your term. And we're just going to skip through all the things that we've already talked about, no changes to assumptions. So some slight changes here to the increase for 2027. So you'll see previously it was around 7%. That has gone up because we did move some things from 2026 to 2027. So just the implication of putting off some projects. But again, really good conversations had during the budget deliberations. Some really tough decisions were made by council. So we're going to go over those really quickly here. So added items for 2027, so we have the $21,000 ESRI system. We also have some specific training for Pembina That was removed as part of the reductions for 2026, so that has been added for Pembina, just to make sure that training takes place. Otherwise, no changes, and then just the removal of the Esri system for 2028 because it would have occurred in 2027, assuming that that project moves forward. Otherwise, there have been no changes to the 3-year plan as previously presented.
Again, Mr. Mayor, if I could just make comments on our 3-year operating plan. So our 3-year operating plan, we do a little bit different than what people might be seeing to our big city down to the south of us, the city of Edmonton. And the biggest difference is the city of Edmonton approves their 3-year operating plan, and in any given budget year, what they do is they start their budget deliberations with the next year of their 3-year operating plan as their base. So that's the base budget that they add and subtract from. We do it a little bit different. Even though we have, our projected 3-year plan, we start with the current year that we're, so in 2025, when we did the budget for 2026, our base is our 2025 budget, and we add and subtract from that. I guess the long and short of it is the 8.6 has not been approved by council for next year. That's not the base. We'll go through this whole process again on an annual basis. And I just wanted to bring that up because I know there's been some comments about, well, you've got this big increase, you got it down to 4.91, but now we're getting it, we're looking at an 8.6 in 2027. That's not the way that we do our budgets here. So we do them a little bit different than the city of Edmonton. Neither one is right or wrong. They are just different.
Go ahead, Councillor Olson.
Motion that the 2026 3-year operating plan be approved as presented.
Discussion from council. Further comments or updates? Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Van Buel. Call that question. All in favor? That's carried. Oh, RFD for the 2026 capital plan and 5-year capital plan. This one has the scary numbers in it. Go ahead, Ms. Tingby.
But mainly just because of one project.
If you take the 13 out, it's not too bad.
And then it's comparable to previous years. So I won't put you guys through the whole presentation as well. I'm just going to highlight the one change for this year. So we did remove the one project that had the $300,000 component that was unfunded or funded through taxation. So that was related to the intersection upgrade at Ochre Park and Highway 38. Otherwise, there have been no changes to the capital budget. In terms of funding, we have $14.5 million out of grants, town reserves of $720,000 and change, and then the debenture of $550,000. There have been no changes to the 5-year plan as previously presented. Other than moving that one project that was taken out, it was moved into the 5-year plan.
Go ahead, Councillor Cosby.
I move that the 2026 capital budget for a total of $15,832,360 be accepted and funded as presented.
Thank you. Discussion? Just as a point of interest, Mr. Van Buel and I had a conversation yesterday with our Member of Parliament regarding the grant application. He prefaced his comments by good and bad news, but the bad news was he hasn't heard definitively one way or the other on our SHIF grant application. But the good news from him was that they did verify the budget numbers that came from the federal government. So there is $210 billion over 10 years being provided to municipalities for infrastructure. The SHIFT grant has a component of building and infrastructure to it, but the new grant that was, and we can't even say it was announced, the new monies that were presented in the federal budget are strictly for infrastructure. And then Mr. Van Buell and I do have a meeting with the Minister of Transportation, Economic Corridors, and our MLA on Thursday, which would be the provincial marrying of the SHIFT grant, or perhaps even the other infrastructure funding that comes from the federal government. So we'll keep you updated on that, but that $15 million, $16 million number is grant focused, so.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add to that, I think, you know, the $210 billion is a big number, like, don't get me wrong. But what's not clear in the budget and what hasn't been sifted through is how much of that is for, I'll call it big infrastructure projects like transit and
Speed rail.
high-speed rail and all the rest of those things. That hasn't been sorted out yet. The SHIFT money is still there, and one of the things that our Member of Parliament, Mr. Cooper, didn't know is how much of that money was gonna be into the SHIFT grant, or was SHIFT moving into a different grant? Those details, we don't know yet. So there is, you know, we were on the right track when we said, hey, it looks like there's a pretty significant amount of infrastructure dollars, you know, earmarked in this budget. We are on the right track. It just hasn't been sorted out who's, you know, what grant program is getting how much of that, of those dollars at this point in time. So stay tuned in the new year.
Any further? Not seeing anything, I'll call that question. All in favor? Carried. Go ahead,
I'll
Councillor
move that
Spencer.
the 2026 5-year capital plan be approved as presented.
Okay, thank you. 5-year capital plan, again, is strictly a plan. It's not a funded process. So this is just what we think is going to happen. Our crystal ball is working well. Discussion by council, capital plan. Seeing anything, I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried as well.
Mr. Mayor, can I just make a comment on one of the projects that is on the plan? Being the bridge rehab.
Can we amend our motion? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, please. I know what you're going to tell us.
Just ahead, Mr. Davidson and I had a conversation with Associated Engineering today, and the bridge rehab project is getting near the finish line, to the point where I don't want to guarantee this, but the goal is certainly to have it open by the end of the weekend and then be completed. So, knock on wood, no major snowfalls, no major anything else. And they have, I say the weekend, they said if it wasn't gonna snow, they would be done by Friday, but they know it's gonna snow, so they don't, depending on how much, their target is certainly by the end of the day, Monday, to have that road open and the bridge usable.
Good news. Very good news, yes. So 11.5, physician grant agreement. I believe that's you, Mr. Van Buell.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I guess I'll make it short and sweet. You know, over the last couple of months, council's had a number of conversations about how do we make sure that our medical needs of our community are being met, and certainly physician recruitment and retention is at the top of that list. We made a motion or council made a motion to provide a grant for the recently recruited doctor to help them get their clinic up and running. One of the things that we looked at, and it's in the, it's outlined in the RFD, and that is, so there's some roadblocks or some conditions about how who we can give grants to as a municipality. Bottom line is we can't give grants and we can't give loan guarantees to private individuals, private corporations. What you can do is, you can give grants to private individuals, private corporations. You cannot give loans. And so there's some wording that you have to play with if you want it, if you want some guarantee of the service. So what we did was we contacted our legal, and although you can't have a guaranteed payback because then it's not a grant, what you can do is you can put conditions around the grant that you give to a private corporation or a private individual. So in this case, what we did was we got a guarantee of 2 years, and then if the services aren't being provided, for 2 years, like if it ceased within that first 2 years, we get 100% of that grant back, and then it scales down over the course, whereby by year 5, it's basically it's done. What we need from council right now is the agreements there. The proposed motion is that council approve entering into a grant agreement as circulated with Dr. Iloho Hambolo. I know I was going to butcher this one. I apologize. To support the operation of medical clinic within the town and authorize the chief administrative officer to execute the agreement on behalf of the town. I think the only other thing worth noting in the agreement was the services. So the 2 services that we're asking for the doctor to perform are provide a priority service for those residing within the town of Redwater and provide a regular rotation shift at the Redwater Health Center emergency room. Again, this is one of the emergency room is one of the big pressure points in the community. As we know, over the last year, it's been closed probably upwards of 15 to 20 times because there's just no physicians available to take shifts. So hopefully this will alleviate, if not all of that, the majority of that. And then again, getting another doctor in town to provide services to our public is a big piece of that.
Okay.
Other than that, I'd answer any questions that council might have on.
From council. Councillor Smith.
Excuse me. I make a motion that council approve entering into a grant agreement as circulated with Dr. Aloho Ambulu to support the operation of a medical clinic within the town and authorize the chief administrative officer to execute the agreement on behalf of the town.
Thank you. I know, Councillor Brown, you're the chair of the recruitment committee. Is there anything you want to add to the mix?
No, I don't think so.
And I'll just make a comment to council along with the committee. I have spoken with Dr. Luca and indicated to him that in the very beginning of the new year, our recruitment committee would like to meet with the 3 doctors, take them to lunch, and have a discussion as to long-term process and programs for doctor recruitment and retention. And they're quite happy with that. They thought that was a good idea. Anything else from council with regards to this? Not seeing anything, I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. And thank you, administration, for helping out with that. That's great. Reports. Councillor Smith, we have your written report. Anything you would like to add to that?
No.
Okay. Councillor Brown, anything you'd like to report over top of your deputy mayor? Councillor Butcher, anything from you? Councillor Spicer?
Nothing to present at this moment in time.
Councillor Cosby?
I'd like to apologize for not having a report. I've been playing with this new system. I'm not having much success at it, so I promise I'll have one next time. Other than that, we've been very busy as a council doing the budget. And attended Chris Kringle and moving on to Councillor Olson.
As presented, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mine is presented with the exception of the comment Councillor Cosby mentioned with regards to Chris Kringle. Excellent, excellent work by our staff, as they're famous for. They put together a heck of a plan, so well done. Look for a motion to accept reports. Councillor Butcher?
I'll make that motion to accept reports as presented, Your Worship.
Thank you. Call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. So we have a Christmas wish from the One Canadian Mechanized Brigade Group. And thank you to Councillor Olson for helping me out the other day when I needed the official name. Christmas wish from them. We've got the town of Legal, their holiday greetings. We've got Municipal Affairs, a congratulatory letter. Address myself, but it's the intent for all of council to say thank you for putting your names forward and being part of the election process. They indicate a video link. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it work. No matter how I tried, it just wouldn't work, but there was a video link apparently. Congratulations from Alta Link, and Mr. Van Buell, if you want to maybe just overview council about Alta Link. I have a sketchy knowledge of their actions and activity.
So do I, actually.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. So I'll leave it at that, because I know they have some right-of-ways, I know they have some facilities, but how they interact with us is minimal at best.
And my understanding actually is we have the most interaction with them and impact with them when we open up a new area and we have new roadways, new GIS, new lights and intersections and that sort of thing. Perhaps, Councillor Smith, anything on top of that? That's my understanding anyway, is that's when we talk with them the most. There is a short jump here. We do have two information pieces from the National Police Federation, and then when you go down to the National Wave 8 presentation, that's when we get the information from Municipal Affairs on what they heard. So it's just a slight change in there as to Alberta Munis versus the National Police Federation. We don't have any correspondence with actions, so I'd look for a motion to accept the correspondence. Councillor Olson, thank you. Any discussion? Further update? No. Call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. And look for a motion to move to closed session. Councillor Cosby,
I'll make the motion that we move into closed session, Your Worship.
thank you. All in favor? Counselor Smith?
Make a motion that we come out of in camera, a closed session.
Thank you. Call that question, all in favor? That's carried. Counselor Olson?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Call that question, all in favor?